Blackhead prevention works best when it is gentle, consistent, and realistic, because blackheads usually develop slowly as oil, dead skin cells, sweat, leftover product, and ordinary daily friction collect around the opening of the pore over time. So, the smartest approach is not to attack the skin, but to keep it calmer, cleaner, and less congested without creating fresh irritation. A simple routine is often more effective than an exciting one. Cleanse the face in the morning and again at night with a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because very hot water can strip the skin barrier and leave the face feeling tight, dry, and more reactive. Use your fingertips rather than rough scrubs, abrasive washcloths, or stiff cleansing brushes, because blackhead-prone skin usually responds better to calm handling than to aggressive rubbing. If you sweat after exercise, yard work, housework, hot weather, or a long day under sunscreen and makeup, it helps to rinse or cleanse the skin as soon as practical, because sweat mixed with oil and residue can sit on the surface and add to that heavy, clogged feeling. Avoid squeezing, scraping, pinching, digging, or trying to force blackheads out at home, because that often causes more redness, swelling, irritation, lingering marks, and regret than the original blackheads ever caused. Choose non-comedogenic products whenever possible, including moisturizer, sunscreen, makeup, and hair products, especially if your hair touches your forehead, temples, or cheeks. A lightweight moisturizer can help because skin that becomes too dry often becomes irritated, and irritated skin makes people impatient. And impatient people are exactly the ones most likely to stand too close to a bathroom mirror and start making decisions they would not defend the next morning. If you use over-the-counter acne care, it is usually smarter to begin slowly with one well-chosen active ingredient instead of layering several strong treatments at once. Salicylic acid may help keep pores clearer, and adapalene may help reduce clogged pores over time, but patience matters more than panic. Improvement usually comes from steady use over time, not from one dramatic weekend of treating your face like a chemistry experiment. Remove makeup before bed. Change pillowcases regularly. Clean the things that touch your face often, like phone screens, eyeglass frames, hat bands, and helmet straps. Keep heavier oils and styling products away from acne-prone skin when you can. Try not to rest your face in your hands for long stretches while reading, thinking, worrying, driving, scrolling, or politely listening to a story that should have ended 15 minutes ago. Stress matters too, not because stress alone causes every blackhead, but because stress often leads to poor sleep, rushed cleansing, more face touching, more picking, skipped routines, and the kind of late-night bathroom behavior that always feels strangely productive until daylight arrives with a very different opinion. Diet does not need to become a courtroom trial, but hydration, regular meals, moderation, and decent sleep support better daily habits overall. If blackheads are stubborn, widespread, mixed with inflamed acne, or simply not improving despite a sensible routine, professional guidance may save time and frustration. Prevention is rarely glamorous. It usually looks like repeating calm habits, reducing friction, choosing products the skin can tolerate, and remembering that steady care beats dramatic interference most of the time. And that same principle, the principle that not every little problem needs to be poked, overworked, dramatized, or turned into a full public emergency, would have saved Lowell Henry Pickard of Pineview Lakes Retirement Villas in Missouri a great deal of highly visible embarrassment if anyone had explained it to him before the Saturday he accidentally became the emergency director of the Low annual Rubber Duck Charity Regatta and spent the next 4 hours wearing a yellow visor, arguing with a leaf blower, and shouting strategic instructions about waterfowl that were not, in any meaningful sense, alive. Lowell was 78 years old, retired after 40 years as an insurance office manager, and so naturally devoted to order that he once alphabetized the emergency canned goods during a thunderstorm because, as he explained to his wife, if the power went out there, should at least be standards. He lived with his wife, Nancy, in a neat cream-colored duplex with green shutters, a screened porch, and a kitchen junk drawer so perfectly divided into labeled sections that first-time visitors sometimes closed it quietly, as if they had interrupted a religious service. Nancy was 75, a retired elementary school reading specialist with quick blue eyes, silver hair, and the kind of easy humor that can keep a marriage afloat through decades of one man's increasingly detailed opinions about extension cords, cooler placement, and the decline of modern umbrella design. Pineview Lakes was the sort of retirement community where everyone said they had moved for peace and then spent the rest of their lives scheduling enough activities to keep a county fair nervous. There was card night on Monday, water aerobics on Tuesday, devotional hour on Wednesday, lunch club on Thursday, movie night on Friday, and on special weekends, there were themed events that appeared harmless on paper and somehow turned into community legend by sundown. The most beloved of these was the Summer Rubber Duck Charity Regatta, a cheerful fundraiser held each July at the decorative canal running through the center of the property. Residents bought numbered rubber ducks, children visiting grandparents painted signs, volunteers sold lemonade and hot dogs, and then hundreds of little yellow ducks were released into the canal to race toward a finish line near the fountain, pushed along by a complicated mix of water current, strategically placed fans, and the sort of light wind no one respects until it starts moving things with opinions. The winning ducks earned gift baskets, bragging rights, and a great deal more emotional investment than any reasonable adult should direct toward floating bath toys. Lowell hated the regatta in principle. In his view, if a competition required inflatable decorations, folding tables, and volunteer enthusiasm in equal measure, it should have been stopped in committee. Nancy loved it because it was ridiculous in the cleanest possible way. No one got hurt, everyone laughed, and by the end of the day, somebody was always standing beside a cooler trying to explain why duck number 73 had clearly been interfered with by current bias. Lowell's three closest friends at Pineview Lakes were Curtis Dean, age 80, retired tire dealer, half-deaf and full of confidence; Margot Stetson, 73, former church treasurer, sharp as a ruler and about as forgiving; and Walter Pike, 79, widower, retired postal carrier, owner of 3 tropical shirts and a laugh that sounded like a lawnmower discovering happiness. The regular regatta coordinator was a woman named Sheila Noland, 69, widow, former high school vice principal, and entirely too fond of the phrase controlled fun, which Lowell considered an oxymoron bordering on propaganda. Sheila wore bright sneakers, a whistle she absolutely did not need, and the expression of a woman who had spent decades making people line up properly against their will. The trouble began the morning of the event when Sheila called Nancy and Lowell at 9:15. Nancy answered in the kitchen, while Lowell stood at the counter reading the weekend sales circular and muttering about melon prices. Nancy said, "Oh dear." Then, "How bad?" Then, the sentence that immediately made Lowell put down the ad's circular and look toward the phone with distrust, which was, "Well, Lowell is right here." He shook his head before the receiver even changed hands. "No." Nancy held out the phone. "You don't know yet." "I know enough." He took it anyway because marriage, after 50 years, is partly love and partly learning, when refusal is only burning your own time. Sheila came on in a rush. "Lowell, I need help. Ron has laryngitis. Bonnie's grandson locked the duck storage shed by mistake, and Carl was supposed to handle the finish line, but he's at urgent care because he stapled his thumb to a campaign flyer." Lowell closed his eyes. That sentence should have been broken into smaller tragedies. I need a calm man with a good voice who can run the regatta until I unjam all this. No, you know everybody. That is not a skill, that is geography. You speak clearly. So does the fire alarm. You complain about how I do it every year. That is private analysis, not public availability. Sheila lowered her voice into the exact tone women like Sheila reserve for moments when they are about to win through candor. Lowell, if you don't help, Walter will end up directing the ducks, and he will absolutely name at least 40 of them before noon. There are moments when a person recognizes that fate has found the one argument calibrated to his exact weakness. Lowell looked out through the kitchen window at the canal, the bright streamers already tied to the pavilion, the cluster of folding chairs, and the giant inflatable duck being slowly secured near the fountain by two men who clearly lacked the authority to do it well. Then he looked back at Nancy, who had that perfectly neutral married expression, which actually means this is going to happen, and I'm going to enjoy watching you become useful. Fine, he said, but I am not wearing anything yellow. An hour later, he was at the pavilion wearing a yellow visor. This happened because Sheila handed him one for visibility, and the room full of volunteers laughed before he even touched it, which made refusal statistically weaker. The pavilion area looked like a patriotic daycare center had married a boating supply store. There were strings of bunting, raffle baskets, duck adoption tables, coolers of bottled water, hand-lettered signs, children with face paint, grandparents with folding fans, and a lane of tables where numbered rubber ducks waited in rows, like citizens preparing for minor absurdity. The giant inflatable duck by the fountain was only half inflated and leaned sideways with the suspicious dignity of a politician caught early. Sheila met him with a clipboard, a walkie-talkie, and the sort of gratitude that only appears when one capable adult sees another capable adult entering avoidable suffering. "Thank heavens," she said. "No," Lowell answered. "Let's not drag heaven into this." She handed him the clipboard anyway. The instructions were simple in theory. Announce the duck sales closing time. Explain the race start. Direct everyone away from the canal edge. Release the duck noon. Announce the winner once the ducks cross the little net at the fountain. It was all extremely tidy in writing, which should have warned him. Because if there is one law of community events, it is this: the cleaner the plan looks on paper, the more likely reality has already begun chewing through it somewhere behind the lemonade station. At 11:30, the crowd was thick around the canal. Children leaned over the railing with the wild children gamblers bring to meaningless numbered objects. Grandmothers fanned themselves. Grandfathers carried hot dogs. They were not cards. Walter had somehow acquired a bubble machine. Margot had already corrected 2 signs and 1 volunteer's punctuation. Curtis kept telling anyone within 10 feet that Duck 62 looked like a winner, though nobody could explain what that meant in hydrodynamic terms. Lowell took the microphone. It squealed once. He frowned with enough disappointment to make it behave. "Good morning," he said. "For those of you who can hear me, excellent. For those of you who cannot, please stand near someone with stronger hearing and weaker opinions." The crowd laughed instantly. Sheila looked at Nancy over the cookie tray and mouthed, "He's perfect." Nancy mouthed back, "Don't tell him that," Lowell continued. "Duck sales close in 15 minutes. Please understand that buying 3 ducks does not count as a retirement strategy. Children must remain with adults. Adults must remain with judgment. Nobody reaches into the water at any point unless instructed by someone wearing more authority than a visor." Bigger laughter. He hated that they liked him. It made escape harder. The first small problem arrived in the form of the duck numbers themselves. Someone had printed 2 number 184 ducks. Someone else had skipped 219 entirely. A woman named Edna insisted her lucky number was 219 and demanded representation. Curtis said 184s might increase the odds in a fair way. Margot said that sentence should not have been spoken publicly. Lowell sorted the cards, found the printer's error, took a marker, relabeled one duck 219, and announced, "The Republic has been restored. Please stop improvising mathematics." The room laughed and relaxed, which only deepened his involvement. By noon, he was not merely helping. He was running things. He announced the race. He positioned the volunteers. He sent one teenager to retie the finish net. He made Walter stop testing the bubble machine directly over the duck release bucket. He informed two children that splashing was not encouragement, but interference with sporting spirit. Then came the release. 300 yellow ducks were poured into the canal in a rubbery cascade of squeaking optimism. The children screamed. Adults clapped. The little crowd began moving along the railing, following the slow, wobbling tide of numbered yellow heads floating toward the fountain finish. The ducks advanced in clusters, separated, bumped, stalled, spun, rejoined, and behaved like a tiny plastic version of civic life. It might have all been ordinary, funny, and done within 10 minutes if not for the leaf blower. The leaf blower belonged to a groundskeeper named Toby, who had been assigned to keep the pavilion paths clear and, more importantly, stay away from the canal. But Toby was 19, sunburned, cheerful, and exactly the kind of young man who believes anything mechanical can improve itself by being pointed at a problem with confidence. Around halfway through the race, Duck Cluster 2 began drifting into a shady pocket near the ornamental stones where the current weakened. The crowd noticed. People leaned. "They're stuck!" cried one child. "No, they're thinking," said Walter. "No one panic," Lowell said into the microphone, which of course guaranteed a stronger panic flavor across the event. Sheila rushed over from the ticket table and saw the problem. "We need airflow," she said. Lowell turned to stare at her. "Airflow? They are ducks. Plastic ducks," she corrected. "Lightweight, just a nudge." That should have been the end of the thought, because some thoughts deserve to die in broad daylight. Instead, Toby, hearing only the key phrase, lifted the leaf blower he had resting on the pavilion bench. "I can do it," he shouted with the sincere confidence of youth unscarred by consequence. "No," Lowell said immediately. "Absolutely not. But fate is quick when powered by extension cords." Toby jogged to the canal edge, angled the blower, and gave the ducks exactly one short blast of air. It was enough, just not in the intended way. The front cluster did move, so did the stalled cluster, so did 3 paper signs, a handful of raffle tickets, one child's visor, and the hat of a woman named Carol, who considered headwear part of her character. The ducks surged forward in a glorious yellow wave, then split around the fountain post in 2 unexpected directions, creating what Walter later described as a runoff event. Children shrieked with joy. Adults shouted numbers. Margot put both hands to her face. Sheila yelled at Toby. Lowell stepped to the railing, held up the microphone, and said the sentence that would end up on the bulletin board for the rest of the month. "No one is to influence the ducks with powered equipment. That is not sport. That is weather tampering." The crowd lost its mind. People were laughing too hard to keep their own cheering straight. Even Carol, still retrieving her visor from a shrub, was laughing. The ducks, now fully committed to chaos, drifted in 2 broad yellow ribbons toward the finish net. The front group hit the net in a bunch so dense that Sheila had to lift it slightly just to separate the first 4. Lowell leaned over, squinted at the numbers, and announced, "Winner appears to be 178, followed by 92, then 198, unless anyone has unlawfully relabeled a duck in the last 10 minutes. No one had, But the accusation made the room clap even harder. The race should have ended there. It would not. Because the giant inflatable duck near the fountain, which had been humming quietly all afternoon and leaning in ways Lowell already distrusted, chose that exact moment to begin a gentle but morally serious collapse. The power plug had loosened. First the head dipped slightly, then one wing softened.